Imagine walking down the street on a quiet afternoon when suddenly sirens wail behind you. Police cars screech to a stop. Officers rush out, shouting your name. You freeze, terrified. You haven't stolen anything. You haven't hurt anyone. You haven't even broken a single law. But an AI system, buried deep inside a government database, has flagged you as a potential threat. It's predicted that you're about to commit a crime. Within seconds, your life changes, all because of an algorithm that believes it knows your future. It sounds like science fiction, like something straight out of Minority Report. But the unsettling truth is, this isn't fiction anymore. From Chicago to London to Beijing, governments are experimenting with something once thought impossible: predictive policing. These AI-driven systems are designed to forecast where crimes might happen, and even who might commit them, before they actually occur. I'm your host, and this is NextCore AI, where we expose the hidden realities of artificial intelligence and its growing influence on our world. Chapter 1. The Birth of Predictive Policing. To understand how we arrived at this moment, we need to go back to where it all began. Policing has always been about patterns. Long before artificial intelligence entered the picture, detectives used intuition, statistics, and crude data mapping to find crime hotspots. Pushpins on paper maps showed where burglaries, assaults, or drug busts happened most frequently. The logic was simple: where crime happened before, it's likely to happen again. In the early 2000s, as computers became more powerful, police departments began feeding historical crime data into basic algorithms. These programs claimed to predict future crimes by analyzing past incidents. It was the dawn of predictive policing, a concept that promised to make law enforcement more efficient, more strategic, and more proactive. Cities like Los Angeles, Memphis, and New York adopted early systems such as Predictive, now called Geolytica, which used mathematical models similar to earthquake prediction software. The idea was to identify hot zones, 500-foot squares where police should focus their patrols. It sounded revolutionary, but soon ambition grew. As AI evolved, researchers pushed beyond predicting where crime might happen. They wanted to predict who might commit it. That's when predictive policing crossed from strategy into science fiction. Chapter 2. How predictive AI works. So how does AI actually try to predict crime? It starts by feeding the system mountains of data. Everything from arrest records, 911 calls, social media activity, financial transactions, and even facial recognition footage is analyzed. Machine learning algorithms search for correlations, invisible links between behavior, geography, and crime patterns. The AI then generates what's known as risk scores. A neighborhood might be flagged as a potential burglary zone. An individual might be labeled as high risk based on where they live, who they know, or past associations. Police departments then use these scores to decide where to deploy more patrols, or who to keep under surveillance. In theory, it sounds efficient, like a futuristic way to prevent crime before it happens. But in practice, it's far from perfect. Because when you feed biased or incomplete data into an algorithm, if certain communities have been historically over-policed, the AI will learn that pattern and keep sending police back there over and over again. What emerges is an illusion of precision, a digital prophecy that feels scientific, but is built on human bias. And once an algorithm labels you as high risk, escaping that label becomes nearly impossible. Chapter 3. Success stories or scary illusions. At first glance, predictive policing looks like a success story. In Los Angeles, officials claimed their system reduced property crime by double digits. In Chicago, the police developed a strategic subject list, often called the heat list, which ranked individuals by their likelihood of being involved in gun violence. Similar programs appeared in the UK, the Netherlands, and India, all claiming to use data science to make communities safer. But as independent researchers began investigating, the story started to unravel. Many of the supposed crime reductions couldn't be verified. Some decreases were temporary or caused by unrelated factors. In other cases, the data revealed that the AI simply directed more officers to poorer, minority-heavy neighborhoods, not because more crimes were actually occurring there, but because those were the areas with more police activity to begin with. Essentially, the algorithm was learning from biased data and then reinforcing that same bias. It didn't predict crime. It predicted policing. And that's a dangerous distinction. Chapter 4. Minority Report becomes reality. If this sounds familiar, that's because we've seen it before in Minority Report. The 2002 sci-fi film envisioned a world where pre-crime officers arrested people before they committed offenses based on predictions from psychic precogs. It was meant to be a warning, a cautionary tale about the dangers of trading freedom for security. But in 2025, we're living through a real-world version of that nightmare. The precogs have been replaced by algorithms, cold, mathematical prophets that scan our data to identify future criminals. These systems don't sleep, don't question orders, and don't understand context. They simply calculate. The technology is subtle, invisible, and deeply embedded in our institutions. It operates under the promise of safety, but it slowly erodes the foundation of freedom itself. We are, in many ways, living in a digital version of Minority Report. Chapter 5. The Risks of Bias and Injustice. Here's the brutal truth. Predictive AI doesn't predict crime. It predicts patterns of law enforcement behavior. If one neighborhood has more police patrols, more arrests will naturally happen there. The AI then interprets that as a crime hotspot and sends even more officers back, creating a feedback loop of surveillance and suspicion. This digital echo chamber doesn't reduce injustice, it magnifies it. Or low income become algorithmically trapped in cycles of policing they can never escape. Meanwhile, crimes in wealthier or suburban areas go unnoticed simply because they weren't over-policed to begin with. The result is a two-tiered system of digital justice. AI becomes a mirror of society's prejudices, only sharper, colder, and more permanent. The scariest part is that once data decides your fate, there's no courtroom, no jury, and no due process. Chapter 6. Could predictive AI ever be ethical? So is there hope? Could predictive policing ever work fairly? Some experts believe yes, but only if it's built on transparency and accountability. That means algorithms must be open source, so the public can inspect and challenge their design. It means datasets must be audited for bias before they're used. And it means communities must have a voice in how these systems are deployed, rather than being silently surveilled by them. Imagine a system that doesn't just predict where crime might occur, but helps prevent the conditions that lead to it, like unemployment, lack of housing, or poor education. In theory, AI could help governments address root causes rather than symptoms. But the reality today is far from that vision. Most predictive policing software is developed by private companies that treat their code, police departments by these tools without fully understanding how they work. Chapter 7. The Global Reality. Predictive policing isn't confined to one nation. It's spreading globally. In China, AI-driven surveillance has reached an Orwellian scale. Millions of facial recognition cameras feed into systems that track citizens' movements, social connections, and even facial expressions. The government claims this helps maintain social order, but critics say it's being used to suppress dissent. In the UK, similar systems have been tested to predict youth involvement in gangs. In India, AI analytics monitor protests, while in Singapore, autonomous robots patrol the streets, identifying undesirable behavior. Each country justifies it as public safety, but together, they reveal a chilling trend. The dream of preventing crime is universal. But the danger, Chapter 8, the bigger question. At the heart of all this lies one haunting question. Do we want to live in a world where people are punished for what they might do? Or do we believe in a justice system based on actions, not predictions? AI doesn't see the future. It sees patterns, fragments of the past repackaged as probabilities. The danger isn't that AI will be wrong. It's that we'll trust it too much. That we'll give it the power to decide guilt before any crime even occurs. Minority Report was meant to warn us. But in 2025, it's starting to feel like a manual. As AI quietly integrates into law enforcement, will we use it to make society safer, or surrender our freedom for the illusion of safety. At NextCore AI, we believe technology must serve freedom. If this episode made you rethink how AI is reshaping justice, hit subscribe and join us for more cinematic investigations into the technologies shaping our lives.